Welcome to Tia's Table, where we talk about making fitness and wellness doable for busy women like you and me. Looking for healthy meal ideas, workout motivation, and good conversation? Don't worry, I got you, girl. Sit back, grab a snack, and let's have some girl talk. Hey girl, hey, welcome back to another episode of Tia's Table. I'm Tia, a certified group fitness instructor and nutrition coach. I help women develop healthy habits that align with their health, wellness, and fitness goals. If you or someone you know is interested in living a healthy lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. You can do that by emailing me at tiavfitness@gmail.com, or you can write me on Instagram at tiavfitness, or at our new podcast page, Tia's Table Podcast, over on Instagram. If you're not following me over there, like, girl, what are you waiting for? I'm trying to elevate our experience over here. Now, hit me up on Instagram over there so we can start sharing recipes and talking about some of the things that we talk about here when we're on the phone. You know, super excited to talk to you all today. And I feel like I have a crazy mix of things that I want to talk about. But before we do, let's talk about what's on my table right now. And you know, it's really not about what's on my table right now as much as it is about what is going to be on my table, hopefully here in the immediate future. I think I am all burnt out on my little carousel of foods. And I know I talk about that all the time. You find out what works for your body and you find a million ways to make and eat those things so that you can stay in your numbers and keep progressing towards your goals. And I still mean all of that. I'm still going to be eating the same exact foods that I always do. But I think I am at a place where I'm like, okay, it's time for us to change some of these flavor profiles, maybe try some different sauces, some new ways of eating these things. Because right now, your girl is feeling a little tired of eating the same things over and over and over again. You know, I never get tired of a taco salad, though. I could eat a taco salad every single day and probably never get sick of it. So I'll probably keep a nice little taco situation in my rotation. But I need to usher in some type of new ways of eating salmon and chicken. Because, girl, I feel like I done ate salmon and chicken every which way you can eat it. I have prepared it all the ways. And how many ways can I do it that I have not already done it? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out. I do plan to spend a lot of time while I'm in recovery from my surgery looking up new recipes and figuring out new ways to eat all this stuff, which now reminds me, I bought that cookbook. Y'all remember when I bought that cookbook that was basically like a meal prep cookbook? I can't think of the name of it right now. But I remember flipping through it and being very excited about everything that I was seeing. And she broke down the calories and the macros for each meal. I need to get that cookbook back out. I think we just solved one of my little problems already. Look at us. We haven't even been on the phone for 5 minutes and we've already solved one issue that I was having. I'm going to get that cookbook back out, and I'll be sure to share the cookbook over on the Instagram page at Tia's Table Podcast so that we can kind of flip through it and decide of those recipes in that book, which ones we're going to go ahead and start trying. I remember trying the egg white souffle cookie type things that were really crunchy. When I first got the book, they cooked really beautifully. They pair very well with coffee, but let me tell you what that recipe does not tell you. If you're not used to eating sweet things, and you're not used to maybe eating candy, or you're just not a person that has a natural sweet tooth, you might not be able to eat those. And I can't remember the recipe verbatim, so I can't remember how much maple syrup or how much of whatever went into them. I just remember them being so sweet that I could barely eat one of them. And I think you get a few of them in a serving. So yeah, I won't be remaking those because they were just so sweet. I can't. And the recipe yields so many of them. So that's also something where it's like if I wanted them, I would need to bag them up and be on my Duchess Megan and pass them out to friends. I would have to, because there's no way I would be able to eat that many of those by myself, right? Because they were just too sweet. But I'm going to do that. As soon as we get off the phone, I'm going to pull that cookbook down and let's go through that cookbook, you and I together, over on our new Instagram page. Because why not? That's exactly what I bought the cookbook for. Thank you for helping me figure that out. Thank you for talking me through that. I appreciate that. So there's that. That's what's going to be on my table as we move into the fall, like this little weird place in the year where it's still summer. It's kind of the end of the summer. Your kids are going back to school, so you feel like summer is over, but really the season is still very much so alive and well. And it's not quite fall yet either. The weather hasn't changed. The leaves haven't changed. You just know fall is on the horizon. And so you're looking forward to fall, or at least I know I am. So that's where we're at with the food right now. Let's talk about what I really called you for, girl. Let's start with the fact that I watched The Biggest Loser docuseries on Netflix. And let me just start off by saying I never watched this show when it was actually on TV. Like in real time, I would see clips of The Biggest Loser maybe on like the Today Show. Because when I used to watch morning TV or like daytime TV, I was a Today Show girl, right? I was Katie Couric down. Loved her and Matt Lauer until Matt Lauer got in trouble. I loved Ann Curry. Loved her. Loved Hoda. I'm an old school Today Show girl. So like once they started bringing in like Jenna Bush Hager and they started bringing in Kathy Lee, because you know Kathy Lee used to be on Regis and Kathy Lee, when she left that show and came over to the Today Show, that's when for me the water started getting a little murky, when they started making Savannah Guthrie such a mainstay on the show. I knew then like, ooh, I don't know what direction this is going in, but I don't like it. And when they got the opportunity to promote Ann Curry to the main anchor desk and they didn't, I was like, ooh, that's one strike. Then they got the opportunity to promote Tamron Hall and they didn't do it. I was like, ooh, that's two strikes. And then when they started doing the whole third and fourth hour of the Today Show, where it was like the Kathy Lee and Jenna show, or it was like they had the duos going at the end and it was like a third and fourth hour of the show. I'm like, nobody needs this. Nobody. Whatever cooking segments or little fun entertainment segments that they would do, you just need to put that in the main first few hours of this broadcast. And if you like Kathy Lee and Jenna or whoever they had doing it, if you like them that much, maybe you need to give them their own show, some type of show that would be akin to something you would see on the E! News network or Entertainment Tonight, something like that, like a magazine style journalism show. But surely we don't need to add a fourth hour of the Today Show just to watch them act like they enjoy food that they know they don't like, or for them to talk to people who have written things, or to talk to actors who are in movies. All that stuff, y'all could have put that in the main broadcast. We didn't need it. We didn't need it. And I say all of that to say that would be the only time I would have seen a clip of The Biggest Loser. And typically you would only see it when they were announcing the winner. Like the winner of this show would probably go on a press tour and they would be over all of the morning news shows, or you would see clips of them from whenever. Or maybe you would see, what's his name, Bob Harper or Jillian Micheals on a morning show talking about people losing weight, all of the things, right? Because both of them became very successful, very popular, and might I add, very rich off of The Biggest Loser. When this show aired on television, it immediately rocketed them into mainstream, like entertainment type fame. Side note, Jillian Micheals was recently on CNN talking about some stuff she's not qualified to talk about. If you're not going to talk to that lady about working out, nutrition, and macros, you probably don't need to be talking to her at all. She does not seem to know much out of the scope of her scope of practice. Okay? So I say that to anyone who might be a news producer. You might be in charge of a news network. Maybe you write. Maybe you help book guests. I don't know. But if you work in news and you're looking for someone to sit on a panel to talk about things that affect us on a much larger and, dare I say it, more important scale, Jillian Micheals is probably not the first person that you need to be contacting to talk about the world as we know it to be today, which is in the pits. She's not a qualified panelist for any of that. Okay? So, yes, but she was on The Biggest Loser. And so was Bob Harper. And I want to talk about much of what I saw in this docuseries because it is blowing my mind. For starters, I had no idea that the whole way they were getting people to lose weight on this show, at least initially, right when it first started out, they were having them burn 6,000 calories a day. And they were also eating in some type of caloric deficit that we know. Because one of the guys talked about how his caloric deficit was whatever it was, whatever they told him. He himself decided that he would drop his deficit down to 800 calories a day. And when you coupled that with the exercise, he was losing like 10 to 15 pounds a week or between weigh-ins. Do you know how crazy that is? To tell someone, even if they're eating enough food, burning 6,000 calories a day, like on purpose. So we're not talking about people who are professional athletes or people who might be like on Broadway, so they're dancing all day. We're not talking about entertainers, nothing like that, because those are jobs where your body just naturally has to move at a pretty high rate all throughout the day. So you might naturally just burn lots of calories every single day because of the nature of the work that you do. We are talking about people that they hand selected who lived sedentary lifestyles, meaning those people were not working out before this. They weren't going for walks. So when you live a sedentary lifestyle, that means that you're pretty much seated for much of the day. And you do light things around your house, like you might wash dishes, do laundry, sweep, vacuum, you walk to your mailbox, you run errands. You do all of the daily activities that everyone does, but you really don't exert your body above and beyond that, right? That is what sedentary means. They took people who were living sedentary lifestyles and immediately thrusted them into a workout program that had them burning 6,000 calories a day. And I don't care how much you're feeding them, if they're in a caloric deficit, it would not have even mattered. If you don't even have to change how you eat, more or less. It depends on how much the people were eating, and we don't know that. But most people probably eat when they're not being mindful of what they're eating. I would say most people probably eat about 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day, somewhere in there, right? If you're burning 6,000 calories a day, and you're even on the high end, if you're eating 3,000 calories a day, you pretty much would be either losing some kind of weight or at least maintaining where you are. So on the one hand, I get why they would put them into deep deficits because it is a television show and you got to be able to show that extreme weight loss. On the other hand, it is completely irresponsible and reckless behavior to take people who have not been doing that and drop them into a situation where that's all they're doing. So you see them in this docuseries, they're throwing up, people are passing out. One lady had to be airlifted on a helicopter to the hospital where she almost, I want to say, she said she almost died. And then the doctor that is on the staff for The Biggest Loser didn't even give her clearance to keep working out on the show for like quite some time. And so she had to find other ways to keep losing weight so she could stay on the show. Not only that, but then you hear about the way these people were treated while they were on the show by the producers. Number one, let's start with the producers, because that is what creates the entertainment factor of a TV show so that people want to tune in and watch. The types of challenges they created for them, having them carry food in their teeth, giving them like a buffet of foods that you know aren't good for them, like pizza and cakes and pies and like junk food, and telling them, oh, whoever eats the most of this will let you see your family. Are you kidding me? Because the whole reason they are there, supposedly, is for them to learn new healthy habits and for them to lose weight. So then if you use food, and I think they called them temptation challenges, if I'm not mistaken. So then if you put them in these situations where they're tempted to eat all of the things that they probably would have been eating at home, how is that helping them? How is that being compassionate? How is that showing any type of empathy for what they might be going through and how hard it is to change? By the way, these are all good characteristics that a good coach should have, right? How is any of that helpful? Because then it's kind of like you're making a mockery, or it's not even kind of, you are making a mockery of the situation that they're in. And when you hear them talk about where they are in their lives, you hear the men up here talking about how they just want to coach their kids' little league teams. They want to be able to ride roller coasters with them. You hear the women talking about how they have been abused at home and how, like, in their minds, they think that the abuse is a direct result of the bodies that they're living in. And so they want to be on this show and they want the results because they really think it's going to like save their family or their marriage or whatever. And so for them to come from that place as contestants to an environment where the producers halfway just want to make a very entertaining television show, and if they can help you lose weight while they're doing that, then that's cool. But really, they're just up here to kind of make fun of where you are in life and to show you doing crazy stuff. Like some of these exercise challenges were just so extreme and crazy. Because like, when has anyone ever catapulted me from anything and dropped me in water to help me lose weight? Never. And if someone said like, oh, Tia, in order to get your dream body, you have to let us bungee you off of this harness and into this whatever, I would be like, oh, baby, I don't want it that bad. So see, y'all picked the right people. You picked people who were coming from a very heart heavy, like genuine place, because y'all were talking to them like they were crazy. And so now we're going to talk about Jill and Bob. And when I say y'all picked the right people, y'all picked the right people, because I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that I'm friends with. I don't know anybody that I'm related to. I don't know anybody that has ever been in any of my fitness classes. I don't know anybody that I have ever coached that would allow someone that they, are looking to receive help from to talk to them like that. You would have screamed at me that first time, and I would have been like, oh, baby, you can keep this, because either I'm about to show out on national television, which I'm going to try not to do because I'm not going to embarrass my mama like that. So you are either going to fix how you're talking to me, and you're going to find some words that are uplifting and encouraging and motivating instead of demeaning me at every turn you get. Because I think what also is lost in what I saw is that you think that a person is physically capable of doing something just because you're telling them to do it. And if someone is coming from a very sedentary lifestyle and you tell them to run for 30 seconds, it is a possibility that 20 seconds is all they got. It's all they got in them. They don't have 30 seconds yet, which is why you have to build up to it. Now, of course, you can try to embarrass them, which is what was happening on the show. You can yell and scream at them and embarrass them to the point where they will fully exert their bodies and push themselves to give you that 30 seconds, but that's not helping them because they weren't able to achieve that on their own. They pushed their bodies past their natural limit just to get you to shut up. And that does not provoke lifelong change in anybody. So to see that that's how these contestants were being treated, to me, is downright kind of despicable. And I'm amazed that this show got as many seasons as it did. Now, one of the contestants, her name is Joelle, made a very good point in this docuseries, and she talked about how the show made her feel like a loser, and she said that's why it's called The Biggest Loser. She was like, that in my mind, that I think that's why they call it The Biggest Loser, because it's not about who actually loses the much weight. She was like, they are literally poking fun at us and where we are in our lives. And when she said that, I was like, well, you know what, girl, you're right. I think you're right, because based on what I'm seeing, that some of that has to be true. Some of that has got to be true. And when you look at the people who won, like you see the sisters that were, one of them won and one of them was a runner-up. First of all, how is that even legally like a thing? You know what I'm saying? I guess you can't help it that they ended up being the top two. But I'm like, if I had a sister and me and her was in something like this, and I let's say I was the runner-up and my sister won, isn't that $250,000 going into the same family? Meaning, yeah, like if you're my sister for real, are we not splitting that pot of money? Like behind the scenes, I would love to know how that ended up shaking out for them. Because I'm pretty sure they were like, girl, let's both go on this show because we both want to lose weight. If I win, I'll give you half. If you win, then you give me half. And it's like we're both winners, but one of us has to win in order for that to happen. I don't know. Doesn't seem like the most fair thing. And like I said, I didn't watch this show at all. So maybe that was a season where it was a season of siblings. It's possible that could have been the case. I don't know. And I don't remember from the docuseries if they said it was so. So much about this show I don't like. I do remember when the show came out, I was kind of confused as to why Allison Sweeney was the host of it, because I had always known her for being like a hot mess on Days of Our Lives. And I can't remember what her character's name was on Days of Our Lives, but Days of Our Lives used to be my summertime jam. I'm about to look up what her name was. Was it Sammy? What was her name on Days of Our Lives? I'm looking it up. Marlena really was that girl. John Black, Hope, Sammy. Yeah, I was right. Sammy Brady. That's how I knew her. And so I'm like, Sammy Brady, girl, how did you go from being on Days of Our Lives to being the host of The Biggest Loser? Now, I do remember at one point in time, Allison Sweeney did lose weight. But to me, Allison Sweeney was never anyone who would have ever been a contestant on a show like The Biggest Loser. She never. I mean, she was a girl that went from, I think, being what I would consider to be a regular size to that of a smaller size, right? Maybe in the entertainment world, because I take that back, because I forget when back then in the 90s and like the early 2000s, yes, I'm sure someone looked at Allison Sweeney and said she was overweight, but to look at her with the eyes of 2025, no, she never was. But I'm sure that's probably how she got treated. Therefore, that was probably ingrained in her brain that that's who she was or how she presented. So then I do remember when she lost weight. And so maybe that's why she was selected to be the host of this show, because at that time, it was probably something that was like heavy on her heart and she was passionate about living a healthier life. Either way it goes, I'm like, there was no one responsible for this show that actually had the contestants in their best interest, except for that doctor, Dr. H, who also happened to be a doctor that worked for the Raiders. A book he wrote was what was that? Any Given Sunday, the movie? A book that he wrote, they used that book to make the movie Any Given Sunday. And he also testified in the O.J. Simpson case, which means Dr. H has been doing medicine for a long time. He, I think, is the only person that actually was like, some of this stuff that y'all are doing is not right. And he said that that's what ultimately made him remove himself from the show and having anything to do with the show. Because some of the challenges he just couldn't get behind it. And some of the stuff that they started doing, I guess in the later seasons, medically, he was just like, it's going to be a no for me because I'm a real doctor. I don't know what you guys are. You're definitely not real coaches. You're definitely not, well, I'll give it to them. They might be real personal trainers, but there's a huge difference between a personal trainer and somebody who coaches behavior change. Huge. Which is why I am a behavior change coach, but I am not a personal trainer. And I tell people that all the time because those two things are not the same. In my professional opinion, if you are a personal trainer, you should also be a behavior change coach. You should take the extra classes that you need to take to become certified in behavior change and understanding the psychology around this, how people make decisions, how they are unwilling to change until they are willing to change. Like it's a whole lot that goes into that, and people should be both. If you're going to be a personal trainer, you should also be someone who has earned some type of credential in behavior change. The other side of that, I don't think is necessarily true. I don't have to be a personal trainer to also coach you into changing your behaviors, right? It will really just bug me until I have time to sit down on the internet and look up some of these people in greater detail. But the fact that they didn't have a therapist or someone who worked in mental health as a mainstay on this show, as a person that was on every episode from the very beginning, lets me know that it was never about the contestants. It was never about truly making them healthier people. Because when you are on a weight loss journey or a fitness journey of any kind, anybody will tell you that it is more mental than it is physical or anything else. You really go through so many different just changes in your opinion of yourself and your perspective with the whole wellness fitness journey. You start to think about food and your relationship with it differently, and it's off and on. It's kind of like an off and on relationship. It's like sometimes you like that man, sometimes you don't. Sometimes y'all be together, sometimes you don't. You know, it's the back and forth of it all. And it's the same way with this whole fitness wellness journey thing. It goes back and forth until it gets to a place where it's healthy and it's not toxic, right? You have to figure out what works for you. And once you figure out what works for you, that's when it starts to feel more natural. That's when it starts to not feel so much like a chore, like something that's out of your reach or something that you are having to really work hard to obtain and then maintain. But I can tell that that was never the goal of this show because they never had anybody on here who was actually talking to them about their mental state the whole time. If you have a really good coach coaching you while you're on your fitness or wellness journey, they should be asking you, how do you feel about things? My clients would say things to me all the time, or, you know, they'd be like, well, I want to do such and such, or I think I'm going to change my workout plan, or I want to change what I'm eating, or I think I'm just sick of this whole thing, or whatever. Like, they would just share different things with me. And I would say to them, or I would ask them, well, how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about doing more? Or how do you feel about maybe backing off and giving yourself somewhat of a break? How do you feel about changing what you're eating and how you're eating? How do you feel about letting go of some of the foods that really did make you feel good? How do you feel about making other changes in other areas of your life? Like, how do you think that's going to impact you and how you feel about you and the way you are living your life? Because that's important to kind of vet out your feelings, flush them out. And even if I don't have the answers for you, sometimes it's good to just say things out loud or to text them to somebody. Because once you say it out loud, you're like, oh, yeah, well, let me think about that. Let me sit with that. How do I really feel about telling myself I'm only going to eat red meat 3 times a year? Right? How do I really feel about that? Let me go through the calendar and see if at what times throughout the year I think I might want a little bit of red meat. Let me see how realistic that is. And then let me see what my feelings are around that. Things that sound very small and maybe they sound very trivial, but those are real things, right? Because ultimately, whatever you say you're going to do to reach your goal on some level, you got to be able to keep doing it, which is why having people burn 6,000 calories a day was never something these people were going to be able to maintain. And that's why when you see them doing their testimonials on the show, people have gained their weight back. Because they were never going to burn 6,000 calories a day for the rest of their life, as well as eat in a caloric deficit. Not every day, not all the time. You could be a very in shape person and not stay in a caloric deficit all the time. Nobody wants to do that. Like I shared on our new Instagram page, I'm going to keep plugging it, Tia's Table Podcast. I shared over there that I'm back in this caloric deficit and it's like killing me. The first couple of days of it were dragging me for filth because I had forgotten what it was like to actually eat food that was portioned out in an attempt to help me stay in shape. And those first few days, you are hangry. Like you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I was waking up hungry. I never felt satiated. Like I could keep eating. And it's not that I was actually hungry. It's just that my body had become accustomed to eating off vibes all summer with these children, right? So my body was missing those extra calories initially. I'm fine today. Like it took a few days, probably almost a week. But now I'm at a place where I'm in my caloric deficit and it's like I'm fine. I'm not stressed about it anymore. Like I'm good to just eat what I'm supposed to eat and we're smooth sailing at this point. But if someone were to tell me, oh, you have to eat 1,500 calories for the rest of your life, I would be like, oh gosh, no breaks, no, not ever. And that is ultimately what The Biggest Loser has made them think and do. The Biggest Loser made their bodies think that in order to sustain this level of fitness, you have got to not only be eating whatever these numbers are, which is probably already hard in and of itself because you're in a caloric deficit, but on top of that, you have got to be burning 6,000 calories a day. 6,000. 6,000. Most people don't even burn 3,000 calories in a day. Unless they're like, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. Because your body burns a certain amount of calories just keeping you alive. Then you exercise. Yeah, most people do not burn 3,000 calories a day. When you think about it, when you work out, and I will be generous because I've seen it. I've seen people share that like, oh, I just did this workout and I burned 1,000 calories. Well, if you burned 1,000 calories working out and your body naturally is burning, I don't know, 1,600 calories keeping you alive, still, you're not breaking 3,000. You're not breaking 3,000. Most people, including the burn they get from exercise, their TDEE is typically under 3,000. Typically. So the fact that these people were burning 6,000 calories a day, that was weight loss that they were never going to sustain, because as soon as they get home, they're going to start working out like that of a regular person. And when you start working out like that of a regular person and your eating doesn't change to go along with that decrease in activity, because let's face it, even though you're still working out and you're working out the way you probably should be, your body is still going to receive that as a decrease in your activity level. Because on this show, in order for you to be burning 6,000 calories a day, they were probably working out for hours. They were probably working out like all day. Because realistically, they were probably only truly burning about 4,000 calories during these workouts or whatever. And then the rest of those calories were probably coming off of just their total daily energy expenditure. That's it. So I'm sure it was like a collective. But either way, 6,000 calories a day, you are not... When we joke online about, like, what are these people training for? Like, is something happening and I don't know? Should I too be training like a gladiator? Which, no jokes aside, maybe we should be. I don't know. If the current state of the United States of America does not make you say to yourself, maybe I should start walking and or jogging and lifting a weight or two, girl, I don't know what else is going to motivate you. However, with that being said, you're not a gladiator. You're not a professional athlete. You're not on anybody's roster. Girl, I hope you're not a number on anybody's roster. And because of that, you do not have to be burning 6,000 calories a day. They were never going to be able to sustain that. So I think the whole Biggest Loser thing definitely was more of an entertainment television show. It was meant to shock and awe. I think the goal of this show had nothing to do with actually helping people create new lifestyles for themselves. The whole purpose of this show was to see how far they could push people who are already at a point in their lives where they were desperate for change. Let's see how we can capitalize off of that desire to want to lose weight so that we can get people to tune into this show every week and make some money. Period. Full stop. Shows like this should have never been on television. And if they ever did do some type of like weight loss show, and it was about real change where they were actually educating people on how to eat and what to do and how to make it work in the life that they were actually living, like realistically, they probably don't think so. But that show would actually probably make a lot of money. Because people like to see real things. People like to see people living lives that are just like the one that they're living. They like to see how you're making the time work. Like, is she really getting up, or is she really working out after her kids go to bed? Like, how is this woman making this work for her? And how is she doing it in a way that is healthy and natural, and it's actually helping her more than it's hurting her? I think that's something that people would watch. But, girl, what do I know? I'm just a girl with a podcast, a hope and a dream. I'm trying to help people change one person at a time. I just get up here and I say to people all the time, girl, make sure you walking, drinking your water, eating for your own personal nutrition numbers. Girl, make sure you throw in some strength training a few times a week, some strength training that you actually enjoy and love. Make sure you don't bother nobody, and make sure you don't let nobody bother you. And if you do all those things, things should move in the right direction for you. So, I don't know. But with The Biggest Loser, an ad came across my YouTube or something I was on, because all this stuff talks to each other now. And it's like, as soon as I got finished watching that, I was on something else, and an ad for V-Shred came up on my phone. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen V-Shred before. But they say they got a free quiz where they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get into the shape that you want to be in based on your body type. And so I filled out the quiz. And to make a long story short, that man told me that if I were to carb cycle and do HIIT, 3 15-minute HIIT workouts a week, that I could completely eliminate all of the cardio that I'm doing, like the walking every day. He was like, you can just full on stop doing that. You can stop walking every day if you do HIIT workouts 3 times a week for 15 minutes and you cycle your carbs appropriately for the workout routine that you have, right? And I found all of this to be somewhat interesting because I'm like, I know people get results from HIIT training. I kind of feel like personally I'm at a place in my life though where I don't want to jump. I don't want to flail myself around. I don't want to be on the floor 1 second and up in the air the next. That's really not for me. But what I also know is that if you do a quick little search on YouTube, and I think maybe even on the Peloton app, they have HIIT training workouts that don't involve any jumping and flailing. And as we know, I'm about to go into a post-op situation here pretty soon. But I told myself, while I am also in recovery, while I'm looking up all these recipes, I'm going to also do a little bit more research on carb cycling with HIIT training to see what other people think about it, what they say about it. Because I'm like, 15 minutes is not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. What I would do, what I would be interesting and entertaining and doing a research project on so that I can come back and report to you all and tell you all about it, is what if I did carb cycle and then I added a HIIT workout to what I'm already doing? Meaning, after this surgery, there will be days where I go to Pilates, which is probably going to be like Monday and Wednesday, right? On the days where I go to Pilates, I still walk. So I'm already doing that. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will still walk, but I'll be working out at home. Like I'll be doing dumbbell workouts at home, right? If on those Tuesdays and Thursdays that I'm at home, if I added a little 10 to 15 minute HIIT workout at the end of my workout, I would like to see what type of impact that has on what I'm doing along with the carb cycling, because I'm already in a caloric deficit. And so basically with carb cycling, one day you basically eat carbs that are within your numbers. For example, I think it's 165 grams of carbs a day. I get up to 165 grams of carbs a day. So if I were going to carb cycle, one day I would eat as close to that 165 as possible while remaining in my caloric deficit. And then on the next day, I would stay below a certain amount of grams of carbs a day, right? So you cycle the carbs. And his reasoning for this was it keeps your metabolism in some form of confusion so that it always pulls from your fat when it's time to burn calories. That is his hypothesis. That is what he believes. That is what he says he has done to get all of his clients the success that they have achieved. There were before and after photos in the video. There were happy testimonials. I said, nothing beats a failure but a try. I'm willing to try it out. Now, I am not going to give up my walking in this little experiment. I won't be doing that. Only because I really do feel very strongly about getting a certain amount of steps a day. So I won't be giving up my walking, but what I will do is I will add 10 to 15 minutes onto my workout. I can spare the 10 to 15 minutes. I'll add it onto my workout. We will carb cycle and we will see if that does have any impact on a fitness journey. I actually have my surgery tomorrow. So by the time you hear this, I will probably already, Lord willing, be right back at home, right? So let's see, 2 weeks from now, it's probably like September. I already know when my post-op appointment is going to be. So once I have that post-op appointment, it'll be very close to Labor Day. So let's see. Let's talk about this again after Labor Day and see how we feel. And let's see if we want to start testing this out in September, but it might be more like the end of September coming into October, which I'm perfectly fine with because I'm trying to do a low and slow re-entry back into full-on working out because I'm not trying to be at the doctor more than I gotta be, right? Right. So slow and steady will win the recovery race. But I just wanted to kind of mention that I saw that so that anyone else who's interested in doing some type of carb cycling or HIIT training experiment along with me, please look it up, read about it, see what your feelings are about it. And if you want to do it with me, I'll make sure that I announce when I'm going to officially start so we can all kind of track our results together to see if that makes any type of difference whatsoever. But yeah, those were the main things I called you about today. Let's talk about the workout report. Today I celebrated 100 Pilates classes. Because I don't edit this and I don't have sound effects, so that's as good as it's going to get. I celebrated 100 Pilates classes today, so clap for me, give me a round of applause. Shardy, make that. Yes, I'm so excited about that. You know, it was a level 2 class with my favorite instructor. I did design it that way. Of course I did. At the end of class, they take your picture, they give you a gift. It's got balloons on it. They write you a note, and my note says, "Congratulations, Tia. 100 classes completed like the boss babe you are. Keep grinding, smiling, and shining. You got this." And I do. I do. I have it. I have it. And I'm so excited to be celebrating 100 classes. My goal for 2025 was to take 200 Pilates classes. So I'm halfway there. And we're a little over halfway through the year, which means I'm gonna have to like go to class almost daily. Like once my recovery is up, I'm gonna have to go to class almost daily. To reach my 200 classes. Now, the studio does not acknowledge the 200 class milestone marker. The next milestone marker for the studio is 250 classes. But for my 2025 bingo card, I put on there that I wanted to reach 200 classes. I did an unboxing of my gift bag on Instagram. But the bag was so cute. It was filled with some sweet little goodies. So I wanted to share them here too. I got a burgundy colored Club Pilates like trucker cap. That's super cute that I will definitely be wearing in the fall. And I already know what I'm going to wear it with because I have stuff this color. It's like that wine burgundy, really pretty fall color. And it just says Club Pilates in like an ivory cursive font. There was also a vanilla bundt cake in this gift bag, and I ate the bundt cake as soon as I discovered it with my cup of coffee that I have every day after class. So, and it was delicious. I had not had a bundt cake probably since 2024, and I forgot how good they were. So, yes, I already ate that. And then there was a pack of black grippy socks in here, and the grippy socks say 100 in little crystals, and they're like little toe socks. So I'm excited to try those and wear those to class when I make it back in a few weeks. So yay for celebrating 100 classes. You know, they always say after you have taken X amount of Pilates classes, you know, you'll look different or whatever. And I don't know how much different I look. Well, I mean, I know I do, but I don't know that is solely from Pilates. I think I do a lot of things, and Pilates has definitely helped. So yeah, I guess I guess there might be some truth to that. But you know what else I did recently that was just a good workout? And you know, I don't necessarily speak highly of men on a regular basis, But sometimes when they are right, they are right. And I am willing to give them a little bit of credit for it. So, I have been exclusively working out at home, right? Doing my little walks, doing my little dumbbell workouts, whatever. One day my husband was like, when you finish your walk, do you want to do some like shadow boxing with me in the basement? And at first I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because why would I want to do that after I have already done my own workout? But then I was just like, oh, at the sake of doing something together, sure, I'll come do this with you. I'll give you 5 minutes. I will do this for 5 minutes, because that's all I'm going to have left in the tank by the time, you and I can come down here and do this together. So we get down there. Well, I was already down there. I had done my walk and my workout. He comes down at the end and it's like, are you ready? And I'm like, sure, why not? He puts on the little things, the little mitten circle things. I put on the real boxing gloves. And girl, when I was doing it, I was just like, okay, like I could feel it, exerting some energy. Like I was sweating. I was just like, oh, okay, this was great. And dare I say, it was kind of fun getting to like punch and things. I didn't think much of it. The next day, I didn't think much of it. I was just like, wow, that was actually kind of fun. Maybe I should look into doing that more often. But then the day after that, oh, honey, I could feel all the muscles in my upper body. I could feel muscles that I haven't felt in quite some time. Because, when we do Pilates, we're not doing a whole lot of upper body. And even on the days that we do upper body, it tends to be like biceps, triceps, and that's really it. And your lats. Like we do a lot of lats and maybe shoulders. But that's it. Doing that shadow boxing with him, I feel parts of my arms and upper body that I don't think I've ever felt before. And because of that, I said, oh, I'll have to come back to this. We'll have to circle back around, as the people in corporate America say. We'll have to circle back around to this, because this was good. This was good. And so when I said that, he was like, oh, well, if you like doing it, like I'll put an actual like punching bag down there, or like get me one of those, which you know what I really want? I don't think I really want a punching bag. I want that thing that looks like a man, so that I can really like punch, because that seems to motivate me a little bit more. I was very much so happy to be down there like punching. And so I'm like, I think I want one of the punching bags that actually looks like a man, so I can punch and kick and let that be something that I do at the end of a workout every now and again, because it was fun. So if you've never done shadow boxing, or if you've never tried hitting a punching bag or hitting anything for any reason, girl, 10 out of 10 recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend. I give that workout 5 stars. And then you have to give it a few days. But if you give it a few days, you will feel it all in your upper body. And it was some kind of good to me. And lastly, before we go, I just wanted to give an update on where I'm at as far as trying to just do better with all of this. I think that'll be fun to give kind of like updates on it. As I learn more about what it's like to have more of an online presence, I feel like it'll be something worth discussing and sharing here. What I have learned about being someone in the content creator space is that, number one, you kind of have to know what content it is that you want to create. And I see a lot, like everybody else. I consume a lot of content. I see lots of videos. I see lots of pictures. I read Substacks. I get newsletters. We see it all, right? And I think when you become a person that says to yourself, oh, it would be good for my business to have some type of online presence, you have to figure out which of those medias is going to be right for you. Which platform do you want to be on? And most importantly, of those, which one do you think you're going to be able to execute consistently? And now someone would say to themselves, like, well, you're very consistent with like working out and doing other things. And people say that when you're consistent with that, it shows up in other areas of your life. And I'll be the first to say, no, that is not always the case. Or maybe I am really consistent in other things, and those other things are taking up all of my consistency. I am meeting my consistency quota in all the other areas of my life. Therefore, when it comes to being online, like, I've got nothing to give, and I really have to push myself to be online, right? So I'm still trying to figure out which platforms are going to be the platforms that I'm going to work to be on. Someone did recommend Substack to me last week, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't think I can do Substack because that requires me to write. And because I do take writing very seriously, I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm there quite yet, right? I do think I should bring back emailing the people that are on my mailing list. I really do. Maybe not the full digital magazine. And you know what the issue with the digital magazine was? It's not even making it. Making it was very fun. It was a great creative outlet. I enjoyed it. Great experience doing that. But sending it out is where the problem came in, because I would create that as a PDF, right? I would download it, and then because of the website that I have, you're supposed to be able to upload PDFs to my website, but only if they're a certain file size. So when I would go to upload the digital magazine to my website so that people could read it, my website would be like, oh, no, this file is too big. The only way to get the file to be smaller, I think, was to reduce the image resolution. So like all the pictures that I was using, you would have to reduce those by quite a bit, I think, to get the file size to stay small. But see, what I don't understand about that is that the very first issue of the digital magazine that I didn't have that problem. My pictures weren't too big. Everything was fine, and it uploaded just fine. The second month that I did it, same thing, no issue. But by the third month, it started kicking it back to me. And I don't know if that's because in Canva, I was using the same template. So basically, I had created a magazine template, and every month I would go in there and just add the new colors, add the new stories, add the new graphics, add the new photos. And I don't know if all of the previous editions of some of those images were being saved in there somehow. I don't know. And I really tried to figure that out as much as I could before I was just like, you know what? This is starting to be more of a time suck than it is like a creative outlet. And I have got to put a pin in this, and I'll come back to this when I have the patience and more time. And I have not quite found it yet. What I would love to do, though, is maybe bring the magazine back in the fall if I can figure out how to execute it every month without it turning into something that is a time suck when it's time to upload it to my website. Because that's what was happening. I didn't have any problem at all creating it. I could create that magazine in little to no time flat, like in a day, if people left me alone and I got to work uninterrupted. As long as I had all of my pictures, which normally I did, because I would do all the pictures one weekend, and then the next weekend I would kind of sit down and write. And then a lot of the times I was writing as I would go along. So like whenever I got free time on the computer, I would sit down and like start writing something, and I would come back to it so that, I was able to create a whole issue every month on time, right? But when it came time to upload that thing, it was taking me hours to do something that really should have just been like something that took like a couple minutes. And that became increasingly frustrated. And so I had to put a pause on that, because I'm like, oh no, I can't. But I would love to bring that back if I can figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't make me want to pull these lashes off one by one at a time. That's what that whole task was making me feel like. So there's that. But I shouldn't do away with emailing people altogether. Like, I should definitely figure out something that I would like to send out and and send it out to people, because I do understand that there are people who still live and die by the email, and maybe they don't get it on social media, but they check their email and they'll listen to this podcast. So that is not lost on me. Instagram seems to be a very consistent platform as far as like reaching people. But let me tell you something about Instagram. What I have learned on Instagram is on my Tia V Fitness page, I really don't think I'm a page that needs to be up there every day. Maybe my stories, yes, I think people like, based on the numbers that I have seen, people do enjoy looking at my stories, probably because they want to see what I'm eating. So people like that. Posting to my actual feed, though, I don't think people are pressed to see that every single day. So I feel like I can show up on Instagram a couple times a week and people might be fine with that. I created the new Instagram page so that we would have like a formal space to talk about all of the things podcast, right? So the podcast has a place to live and breathe. And then like my coaching business has a place to live and breathe. What I have learned about starting a whole new Instagram page is, number one, it's hard to get people to click that follow button. And number two, it is not as easy as I thought it would be to just say like, hey, y'all are already listening to the podcast. Just follow it over there. So I have learned now that like, oh, just because somebody listens to this, it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to see it online. Like when they go on their social media pages, they might not necessarily want that showing up online for them. They might be fine to just kind of listen to this and keep it moving, which is fair because there are several podcasts that I listen to, but I don't necessarily follow those people online. So I totally get that. But that too has been quite the learning experience for me, trying to figure out how to have active listeners that turn into an active community so that we can kind of chat and share experiences, do things like our upcoming little project with carb cycling and HIIT training, and we all know what we're all talking about at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. Why am I sharing any of this? Because I also feel like people just be wanting to know what else is going on in your life. And right now, this is probably the biggest thing work-related that is going on in my life. I'm trying to figure out ways that I can give out all that I know about living a healthy lifestyle, doing it in a way that does not feel hard, right? Giving out all the tips, tricks, advice, and recipes in a way that I can actually keep up with it all. Because I don't like the idea that, oh, you start something and now it's gone, or you start something else and now it's gone. And true enough, I could probably utilize my website because I don't think I use that nearly as much as I probably could. And I have thought about just doing blog posts. And that way, my little recipes or whatever it is that I'm talking about, it has a permanent place to live and people can easily go up there and kind of look at things. So I'm considering everything. I've made decisions about nothing. But if you are listening to this podcast, and I know a lot of people do, because I get the numbers once a week. If you are listening to this podcast and you want to see the recipes, or you want to know about what I wear to Pilates, or you want to just learn more about behavior change in and of itself, do me a huge favor and either DM me and let me know what types of content you're actually consuming on a regular basis, whether it's you're reading people's blogs, you are reading newsletters, you're solely listening to podcasts, or you watch a lot of video content, maybe a short form or long form. Just talk to me about your internet life. What are you looking at? Where are you looking at it? And what do you enjoy looking at the most, so that I know what my community is doing, so that I can kind of tailor what I do to what it is y'all actually have time to consume. Yes. And in the meantime, I will continue to be as consistent as I can with putting things out. For example, once this episode is published, I will definitely share that cookbook, and I will actually flip through that cookbook and tell y'all what recipes we're going to try, so that if you want to get the cookbook and try them along with me, we can all try them together and just see what's what. Are they good? Are they bad? Did they help us lose weight? Did they meet our numbers? What's good with some of this stuff? Because in order for any of us to stay on the wagon, we've got to constantly be willing to try different things and kind of switch it up sometimes to keep it interesting and fun. So I think that's about it for me today. I'm going to go make myself a pot of chickpea stew so that I have something to eat on these first few days after my surgery. I could solely rely on what my husband is going to make and or get, but I already know it's going to be something fried. I already know it's going to be fried chicken and mac and cheese and things that are absolutely delicious, but I just cannot eat that as much as he is going to be serving it. So I have got to give myself something that's a little healthy to go along with the chicken wings that I'm sure are in my immediate future. So I'm going to make that, do a little bit of tidying up in here. I need to wash my hair because after tomorrow, I don't know when I'll be able to do that. So tonight, I definitely need to wash my hair and, do some stuff so that tomorrow morning I can get up, go have this surgery, and Lord willing, be back home before my children should happen to get out of school. That is the goal and that is the plan. So by the time you hear this, girl, I'll already be in recovery. Please keep me in your T's and P's for a smooth and speedy process of it all. And I'll be back before you know it. Be sure to follow me. Be sure to follow me at Tia's Table Podcast over on Instagram. You can also follow me at Tia V Fitness on Instagram if you are not already. Thank you for checking out the podcast. Be sure to rate and review it. Girl, share it with a friend when you're out. Compliment a woman. Tell her something nice about herself. Make her day. Make her smile. Spread that love and that joy. I know you got it inside you. Don't compete. Don't compare. Don't complain. What God has for you is for you. And never knock another woman's hustle. I'll talk to you real soon. Love you, girl. Bye.